Hi everybody, what's up? My name is Juan. I am just one reader and I am here with my first book review of 2018, and that is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This is the very popular first installment in this huge, really hyped fantasy trilogy, which is the Mistborn trilogy. I was really excited about this because I've been looking for a really great fantasy trilogy, in which I can get really into, and something that will be super immersive and that, something that will just take me. I tried that last year with The Life Ship Traders by Robin Hobb. Couldn't do it, didn't like it, just couldn't get into it. So then I figured, well, I'm gonna try this one, which is like this is so hyped and so popular. People adore this book. So I figured this is foolproof. It has to work. It absolutely has to work. Well, it didn't. It didn't work. It didn't work at all, actually. Now, I body read this book with Nathan from the channel Nathan James. He liked it even less than I did. I think I am going to give this book a 3 stars on Goodreads, which might sound a little bit high and quite benevolent for, considering all the things that I'm going to tell you in this review, which, by the way, is going to be completely spoiler free. So 3 stars to me feels like quite a good, graceful, benevolent, high rating, considering how much I actually disliked it. But there were some good things, and some things that got me through the book. And, if I really hadn't liked it or hadn't enjoyed some parts of it at least, I never would have made it through, and I would have DNF'd it halfway through or at some point. So it's not all bad. However, the bad parts of it are so bad that that's why it's a confusing book for me to discuss and to rate, because it deserves maybe 3 stars. I wouldn't give it any less than 3 stars, but I really didn't like it. So this is kind of a weird book in that way. Now, coincidentally, Chris from Chris Bookish Cauldron, whose channel is amazing, read this pretty much at the same time as Nathan and I did. I didn't know that. But Chris, already posted a review of this book, which is probably going to be absolutely 1,000 times more clever and coherent and better put together than this one. But this is just me rambling. There were many times while reading this novel in which I just constantly rolled my eyes or did this expressions of like, oh my God, really? But at the same time, I never DNF'd it and I never stopped reading. I never really cared about the characters or the story, but I never stopped reading. So to me, that says something. I don't know. There are a lot of books that I've read that I haven't disliked as much as I disliked this one, but I have DNF'd them. And this one was the opposite. I really disliked it, but I didn't DNF it. I actually finished it. So I finished reading the book clearly knowing that I was not satisfied, and already having decided that I was not going to continue on with the rest of the trilogy. So I was clear on that. However, I was not really clear on how much I disliked it. And it was not until I watched Chris's review and Chris's incredible thoughts on how much he passionately hated this book that he got me into thinking, and he made me realize that I was feeling pretty much the same things. And so the next thing I did was I sat down and I started writing, and I compiled a very useful list of things that I really disliked about this book. And that's what I'm going to tell you in this video, which is going to be completely spoiler free. However, I do think that if you have read this book, or if you know what this book is about, you will enjoy, or you will get the things that I will tell you much more, and it will just make more sense to you. So first of all, the positive. I thought this book had some moments of brilliance, of cool things. The magic system that Brandon Sanderson creates is interesting enough. The characters are very bland and very two-dimensional or one-dimensional, but at least they carry the story and they make you care a little bit, just enough, just barely. I think that's the only positive thing that I want to say. Of course, just keeping in mind that there must have been something good in here, so much so that I never DNF'd it. But now, having said that, let's go into all the bad things. Bad thing number one, this book relies heavily on exposition. A lot of exposition scenes through dialogue. It's just very boring, it's very convoluted and very dense. And I know that the magic system that he creates in here is interesting and he really wants to make you understand every single thing about it, but it just puts you to sleep. Bad thing number two, this book is way too long. It could have been seriously trimmed down. Editor, where are you? Bad thing number three, I would describe the tone of this novel as soulless and devoid of any affect. There was no real feeling here whatsoever. I thought everything was cold. Bad thing number four, and this is a good one. This book includes a lot of very bad prose, very cheesy bad prose, and very melodramatic dialogue. An example of this. This is from page 517. "What do you know about them, Kelsier?" she asked. "When's the last time you slept in an alley shivering in the cold rain, listening to the beggar next to you cough with a sickness you know would kill him? When's the last time you had to lay awake at night, terrified that one of the men in your crew would try to rape you? Have you ever knelt, starving, wishing you had the courage to knife the crew member beside you, just so you could take his crust of bread? Have you ever cowered before your brother as he beat you? All the time feeling thankful because at least you had someone who paid attention to you? Don't talk to me about noblemen, and don't say things about people you don't know. You are no ska, you're just noblemen without titles." Bad thing number five, all the characters in this book are super uninteresting. And we have two main protagonists, Kelsier, our male protagonist, and Vin, our female protagonist. I think they are very prototypical, and I could summarize them like this. Kelsier is the mysterious, snarky leader with a dark past, and Vin is the poor, innocent girl who comes from nothing. She has trust issues, which she constantly mentions to the reader. She is victim of violence, and she suddenly comes into her powers. Like, I've never seen that before. That's so unique. Bad thing number six, the most interesting part of this entire story to me was the backstory of the villain. The villain is this mysterious evil character called the Lord Ruler, which is a super unique name, right? So the Lord Ruler is kind of this mysterious figure, and I thought that was the most interesting part of the book, which then, of course, turned out to be the most uninteresting, anticlimactic thing in the entire book. So that was the most interesting thing until it became the most disappointing thing. Bad thing number seven, I didn't actually really like the world building at all. The setting was very bizarre and very difficult for me to picture. Sometimes it felt like Victorian England. Sometimes it felt like middle-aged kind of, you know, your typical fantasy setting. Sometimes it felt Italian, like The Lies of Locke Lamora. It was just a mess. Bad thing number eight, the names. Okay, so Brandon Sanderson is not good with names. The names that he gave these characters and these places and pretty much everything in this world was just bad. It was bad. It was pathetic. I really didn't like it. Just to give you some examples. Kelsier. This is the male protagonist, Kelsier. He's supposed to be this strong, snarky, mysterious character, very masculine character. Kelsier, to me, sounds like something like a chocolate. It sounded like a chocolate. It sounds like naming your male protagonist Hershey or something. Now, another example is Vin. This is our female protagonist. Vin seriously? Like, couldn't you think of something plainer? Vin? And Luthadel. Okay, so this is my favorite name in the entire story. Luthadel is the name of the city. This is the setting in which we are. Luthadel, please tell me if Luthadel doesn't make you think of some kind of lubricant. Porn star lubricant. Bad thing number 9, the magic system. I know it's cool, it is different, it is unique. Yes, that is actually something that sets this world and this book apart. But it was not done well. It was very meticulous. It was unnecessarily detailed and explained, and I just didn't care. It was very complicated, and I think Brandon Sanderson forgot that he was writing fiction, and he started writing like nonfiction about this magic system. Bad thing number 10, the plot. It's just ridiculous. It is very convoluted. It's a mess. Bad thing number 11, the action scenes are just way too long and way too detailed, and they are sinfully boring, if you ask me. They are just, no. That's not how you do action scenes. I could not have cared any less. Bad thing number 12. This book needs more dialogue. Not the type of cheesy, melodramatic, exposition-heavy dialogue that we actually have, but good dialogue. Bad thing number 13, and this is a big one. This did not feel like fantasy. I don't know why people think it is fantasy. It felt like a bad fan fiction or a bad version of a superhero movie or a Star Wars kind of ripoff thing. This did not feel like magic or like fantasy. It felt just, it was so bad that I don't even know what it is. And finally, bad thing number 14. This book seriously fails in comparison to other actual fantasy books and series. If you compare this to The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, Harry Potter, you name it. There are many others that are infinitely better. Even the Lifeship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb, which that's interesting to mention because, like I said at the beginning of the video, I didn't actually like the Lifeship Traders. I didn't like Robin Hobb's writing, and I gave the first book 1 star. So 1 star, and I gave this baby 3 stars. So that goes to tell you, that's a perfect example of how ratings and stars and numbers mean shit. Because yes, I stand by that. I still would give the first book in the Lifeship Traders 1 star. I stand by that. And I would still give this 3 stars. Don't ask me why, but I think that is what I feel comfortable with, and that is faithful to what I felt and what I think. However, if I compare them, I mean, come on, I would much rather continue on with the Lifeship Traders than with Mistborn. This was just cheap. It kept me reading, and I think that's why I enjoyed it a little bit more. It kept me reading. It was maybe deceivingly good at parts, and I never realized how trashy and bad it was until after I had finished it. Whereas the Lifeship Traders trilogy, the first book at least, all the time while I was reading it, I was just bored out of my mind and I could not wait to finish it. But there you go. So that was my review for The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Please let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this kind of new format, this new way of presenting a book review in like very specific pointers, very specific items. It was a new experience for me. I enjoyed it, but I want to know what you feel and what you want. So thank you for watching. If you have read this book, if you liked it, please let me know. If you didn't, let me know. I am Just One Reader, and I will see you on the next video.